Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is December 19th, 2025. And ladies and gentlemen, Joan Laporta has laid in all the way on Real Madrid. Also, we're going to talk about Hansi Flick's contract renewal and what's his stance regarding staying at the club longer. And finally, Barcelona are closing in, very close to signing an English attacker. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. This is the Barca News live podcast, which is on every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, where not only we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answer any questions, and get a discussion going. So start filling up the chat section so I can start reading your comments. Now, for those of you who'll be watching when the podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description, chapters in the timeline, in case you do want to skip through the discussion and get straight into the news. Even though I recommend you watch that entire thing. Why? Because we usually have really good discussions, because we have a lot of amazing people in this channel who always leave amazing comments. Of course, there's always every now and then the Madrid hater that slips in, but that's okay, because then we get to point at him and laugh. Anyways, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. All this helps the channel continue to grow. It's completely free, and it makes me feel good. I can see that my work is paying off. Also, if you're looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, if you're looking for jerseys or merchandise from any football team or any sports team around the world, you can head to Goal Kits, Kitback, or Fanatics. More specifically, Fanatics for other sports, for anything related to football, Goal Kits, and Kitback. If you're looking to place any sports bets, you can head to Bet Us, where you can place bets not only on Barcelona matches, but on any sporting event around the world, UFC, wrestling, boxing, ping pong, whatever the hell you want to bet on. You can do so on Bet Us. All links are in the description. You click on them, you get access to some pretty cool deals and offers. And by the way, it is Christmas time, so lots of deals and offers. And if you use the link, you get even more offers that you would usually not get if you don't use the links in the description. All right, let's begin with the news. And as always, the first segment of news, or the first segment of the podcast, contains multiple bits of news combined together for the sake of brevity, starting with the Barca Athletic center back, Mamadou Mabacke. Now, if you don't know who Mamadou Mabacke is, he's a Senegalese center back that Barcelona signed, I think it was 2 seasons ago, from the MLS, from LAFC to be more specific. Barcelona were kind of had, some hope pinned on him, because he was doing real well in the MLS. His first season was kind of an adaptation season. The second season, it was and then this season is also So Barcelona are not completely convinced with Mamadou Mbacke's performance, so it's unlikely that Barcelona will renew his contract. Now, when does Mamadou Mbacke's contract expire? It expires this upcoming summer. So Mamadou Mbacke is currently in the final season of his contract, and again, it's unlikely that Barcelona will renew it. And most likely he will leave as a free agent. Now, what's the news? The news is not that his contract expires. We knew that. But the news is that there are currently 2 teams, 2 Champions League teams interested in him, which are Slavia Praha, which happen to be Barcelona's next opponent in the Champions League, and also FC Basel. These 2 teams are interested in Mamadou Mabacke. And you might say, Mo, why do we care? He's going to become a free agent. Who cares? Well, hold your horses, because both Slavia Praha and FC Basel are looking to reinforce themselves during this winter transfer market. And that, of course, would be good news for Barcelona, because if they try to sign him during this winter transfer market, Barcelona could get a transfer fee. If not, he would leave for free come this summer. So hopefully, if Barcelona want to sell him, of course. If not, if they want to renew him, then go ahead and renew. But if Barcelona are looking to get rid of Mamadou Mabacke, hopefully it happens during this winter transfer market. That way, Barcelona can make some money. Now, on to that next bit of news. And this bit of news is not good news. So if you've had a bad day, if you've had a bad week, things are not going well, step away for a few seconds, a few minutes, because the next bit of news is not good news, and it's in regards to Pedri, because Pedri is currently suffering some discomfort in his calf muscle. This is not an injury. Let's make that clear. Right now, it's simply discomfort. Now, Pedri did not train today with the group. He trained by himself today. He did exercises by himself. And he's currently a doubt for Sunday's match against Villarreal. Now, the match against Villarreal will be the final match of this calendar year, 2024. No, 2025. I don't even know what year we're in. And it's going to be a very important match because Villarreal are currently sitting third. Villarreal are having a really good season in La Liga. It's going to be a tough match. It's an away match at the Villarreal Stadium at the Ceramica. So it's going to be a difficult match. And right now, Pedri is a doubt for that match. Now, tomorrow, Pedri will test himself during the training session. And if he feels good, he could be included. And if not, he could be excluded. But of course, knowing how Hansi Flick is, knowing how cautious he is with the players, it's looking most likely that Pedri will end up missing the match against Villarreal. And if he does end up playing, maybe it will be like 20, 30 minutes. Again, this is as of today. We'll see how Pedri feels tomorrow. But as of today, it's looking that Pedri will most likely miss the match against Villarreal than actually make it. And again, this is a big, of course, loss because we know how important Pedri is and we know what a difficult opponent Villarreal will be. Now, speaking of Villarreal, I guess the silver lining of maybe Pedri not being there is that Villarreal currently have eight players who have been ruled out for Sunday's match against Barca, with 2 players in doubt. Now, the 8 players that have been ruled out for Villarreal due to injury are Logan Costa, Willy Cambawala, Santiago Mourinho, Thomas Partey, Elias Acomac, Pape Gouillet, Juan Foyth, and Sergi Cardona. And the 2 players are currently in doubt, which is huge. I mean, we already have Juan Foyth, who we know is a very important player for them. But we have Gerard Moreno and Dani Parejo, probably the 2 best players that Villarreal have. Right now, they're both in doubt. We'll see if they participate or not, but right now, in doubt. So 8 ruled out players and 2 in doubt for Villarreal, which is pretty bad for them. But of course, for us, it's good news. But as always, I say, I prefer to have 2 teams with their healthy starting 11 versus healthy starting 11. But I guess if Villarreal are going to show up with all these players already injured, I'll take it. I'm not going to complain. Anyways, that is all for the first segment of this podcast. Let's do some comment section, and then we are going to talk about Joan Laporta because he completely tore into Real Madrid officially. He had already responded to Florentino Perez twice, but now he did it in an official capacity at the Christmas address. All right, let's see what everyone's saying. Cedar, who was already waiting for the podcast to begin, saying, yo, what's up, Cedar? Let's see. K-Slime8 says, hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. My name is Mo. Let's go. Blaurana X says, any more cat plushies? No, actually, the cat plushies are completely sold out. Believe it or not. I would have done another raffle, but since they're sold out, I can't. Now, if Barcelona release more plushies on the website, which they haven't, they released 5,000 units yesterday, but only in the stores, and they sold out within minutes. But if they release more plushies on the website, I could do another raffle. But for now, since they're sold out, I can't raffle something that doesn't exist, right? I am thinking of raffling the new kit. I guess it would be the 4th kit, the one that's like looks crazy. The El Clásico kit in honor of that 2006 El Clásico where Barcelona won 0-3 at the Bernabeu. I could do that. Let me know if you want me to. And let's see. Spooky says, Mo, is it true that Rafinha and Yamal are beefing? Not that I know. I do have one advice, and this is something I've learned throughout my time of doing this channel. Stay away from Twitter, okay? Posts on Twitter do not constitute news. I've seen some crazy shit on Twitter all the time. People just post whatever the fuck they want. It goes viral. It gets shared. People believe it. It's like we've gotten so lazy with confirming posts. It's like we see a post and that's it. We assume that it's just real. Just because it's a post. And it's like, no, just because I can right now post Barcelona just signed Haaland. That doesn't mean it's true just because I posted it, right? So always confirm your news. Don't just go by whatever you see on social media, especially on Twitter. Especially on Twitter. It's become a shithole, by the way. Ever since it became X, it's just crazy fucking people arguing about everything and anything. And it's just become like a crazy shithole where crazy people go to say crazy shit. That's what I've noticed about Twitter. But anyways, and Sanjo with a donation. Thank you so much, my friend, for your generosity. Always supporting the channel. Thank you a million times. Thank you. And Sanjok says, imagine if we could have had the finalissima at the new Camp Nou. Messi's last match at Barca could have given him a great tribute. Yamal versus Messi. I'm so pissed at Laporta for missing this opportunity. That would have been pretty cool. But I think it would have been I don't know if it would have been able to happen because it would have been an unfair advantage, right? Because you're talking about a stadium in Spain, so that's a home advantage for Spain, and and Argentina's playing away. Meantime, Spain is playing at home with many players really playing at home, right? We have so many players on the Spanish team that are Barca players like Lamine, Dani Olmo, Fermin, Cubarsí, etc., etc. So they're really playing at home. And the rest of the players are playing at home because it's Spain. So I don't know if that would have happened. Even if the Camp Nou would have been 100% ready, I don't know if that would have been possible because, it's an unfair advantage. You want to have that match played at a neutral ground, not in Spain, not in Argentina, somewhere else. And I think that's why they did it in Qatar. For example, the last finalissima between Argentina and Italy, it was played in London, right? Because they always try to pick a neutral ground. So I don't know if that would have been possible, because that would have been an unfair advantage for the Spanish national team. But nonetheless, I'm very excited, by the way, to see the finalissima. Very excited. I think it's going to be one hell of a match, even though I wish this would have happened maybe 4 years ago, where Argentina were, at the top, at their prime, I should say that. Because now they have some players that have retired, like Di Maria. They've had other players who have gotten old now. So it's not the same Argentina from the 2022 World Cup, but it's still a pretty good team, right? It's not like all of a sudden they are, complete bums or something. But on the other hand, we have a very young Spanish team. I think it's going to be a good match. And whoever wins, I'll be happy. Of course, I prefer that Messi wins, only because, I want to see the greatest ever win as many trophies as he can. It would be nice to see Messi win another World Cup. That would be amazing. But we'll see. I'm very excited for the finalissima. I'm going to try to go if I could get tickets. First I have to see how much the tickets will be. And then I have to see how much flights will be, because it is Qatar. It's very far. But if it's affordable, if I could do it, if I could swing it, I'll do it. I'll take my camera. I'll do a whole video of the match. Let's see, though. I'm not promising anything. It all depends on the cost of the whole trip, because I can't imagine it will be cheap. But thank you, my friend, for your donation. That definitely helps if I do end up going. And now, let's get back to the news, because I'm not even going to take my glasses off, because I do have to read a lot in this section. But Joan Laporta has completely torn into Real Madrid in Joan Laporta's official response to the old decrepit man, Florentino Perez. Now, of course, you know by now, because we've talked about it a million times on the channel, but Florentino Perez again went on a tirade against Barcelona. The first time, it was in a General Assembly where, the Florentino Perez was given an update about Real Madrid to the club members, to Real Madrid members, and he brought up the Negreira case and made his whole speech about the Negreira case. Because, of course, what else are you going to talk about? If you're going to talk about the actual state of Real Madrid, the members will be very pissed, because it's a pretty bad state, right? Their team is falling apart. They have a 1.3 billion euro debt. Their stadium is an absolute joke. The Super League is a complete failed project. So, of course, during the General Assembly, instead of, taking responsibility for all his failures and, at least promise the socios a better 2026, no, he distracted them with Barcelona and Negreira. Then there was the Christmas address. Once again, instead of celebrating what Madrid accomplished in 2025, because they didn't accomplish shit, and instead of looking forward to 2026, again, Florentino Perez, instead of accepting his failures and coming up with a better plan on how to manage the club, he once again distracted the club members with another speech, bringing up Barcelona and Negreira. So far, Laporta had responded twice, but only in like the random interviews. The first one was at Guadalajara when Barcelona were playing the Copa del Rey. I think he was headed to the match, and the reporter stopped him. Hey, and what do you think? And he talked really quickly about how this is acute Barcelonitis. Saying that Florentino Perez is obsessed with Barca. The second time he was at a Peña in Tarrasa. Again, they asked him, hey, what do you think about it? He was kind of like, they're just distracting away from the terrible state that they're in. But this time, Laporta has answered in an official response, because today it was Joan Laporta's turn to give the Christmas dinner to the club socios, to Barcelona socios. And during his speech, well, he officially responded to Joan Laporta, to Florentino Perez. Now, I do have to say, I think I would have preferred Laporta not to answer during this dinner, even though I like his response and I've been enjoying his responses. And I say that because, I criticize Florentino by saying, hey, look, this old decrepit man is just trying to distract away. Like, why is he mentioning Barcelona at an official Real Madrid event with their club members? Like, what you're supposed to do there is, hey, it's a Christmas dinner, right? Hey, let's celebrate everything we accomplished in 2025, and let's look forward to everything we want to accomplish in 2026. That's what you do in those dinners. And yet, he used Barcelona to distract away. And this is why I was like, I'd rather Laporta not do that. I think we could have just focused on ourselves, right? Say, hey, look at everything we've accomplished in 2025. We won La Liga, we won the Copa del Rey, we won the Spanish Super Cup, we returned to the Camp Nou. Right now, we're first in La Liga. There's a lot to celebrate, and there's a lot to look forward to next season, next year. And plus, by officially responding to Florentino Perez, you're giving him the attention he doesn't deserve. Because I think we've all seen what Florentino Perez is doing. It's just a distraction from how bad Madrid are doing on the sporting level, institutional level. So why play his games? Like, we know what he's doing. He's just a desperate old man clinging to power and trying to distract away from his failure. So let him, it's like the crazy guy who's sitting in the corner just yelling at a wall. Would you get into an argument with him? No. Let him yell at the wall in the corner. So I would have rather Laporta not officially respond, but he did. So let's look at his statements, and this is what the Barcelona president had to say. I have to warn you that our good sporting form is generating a lot of envy, and they are reacting in a very despicable way, using all kinds of underhanded tactics, disregarding every moral code imaginable, and being a bad influence on everyone. I suppose I don't need to tell you who and which club I'm referring to. They are constantly trying to discredit us, attacking our badge and our value. Again, one of the many reasons why Florentino Perez is constantly attacking Barca, to distract away from his failures, because he's mad that Laporta left him by himself in the Super League. And of course, because they're also mad that Barcelona are doing great. And we've seen whenever Barcelona do great, Madrid, instead of saying, oh, let's figure out a way of doing better, let's compete, let's beat them on the field, they always look way of bringing us down somewhere else. Whether it was the Villarato, which they were like, oh, it's the refs, look at all these different numbers. They were using stats, look how many fouls Barca get in favor, and blah, blah, blah. There was then the doping accusations, and now with the Nereida case, right? That's what they do, because they are hating little bitches. Now, Joan Laporta continued, we are not going to allow them to continue with these kinds of maneuvers. They are the same ones who confuse power with unenlightened despotism, who are usually the first to practice cynicism, and who go through life with an arrogance that is as excessive as it is astounding. I am talking about the same people who run a monstrosity of a television program from which they spew lies and poison the public permanently and constantly. I really like these statements because he talks first about despotism. And this is important because that perfectly describes Florentino Perez. Because Florentino Perez, that's what he is. He's a despot. Okay. He runs Real Madrid like a despot. It's just him. Only his word matters, no one else's, right? He wants to run the Spanish league like a despot. He wants to be the guy who decides everything. I mean, just last season, La Liga met with all the clubs from first and second division to try to figure out how can we improve refereeing. And what did Madrid do? They didn't even show up to the meeting. And instead, Florentino Perez requested his own meeting. Why? Because he wants to control every aspect of the Spanish league. He wants to dictate the rules. He wants to dictate how refs behave. So not only does he run Real Madrid like a despot, he's trying to run La Liga as a despot. And he even tried to do it at the continental level. That's why he launched the Super League project, right? Because the Champions League, he has no control over. That's controlled by UEFA. So instead, he launched a Super League where he wanted to be the leader, but that blew up in his face. Also, Laporta talks about cynicism. Like I said before, Madrid complaining about the refs. It's the biggest exercise of cynicism. We're talking about the team that most been favored by referees throughout the history of the sport. That's a fact, not an opinion. You look at the numbers. How many Champions League has Real Madrid won under very, very dubious circumstances? Let's not even bring up the Franco era. 40, 50 years of dictatorship where Real Madrid were handed trophies. Why? Let me give you a history lesson. Okay. When Franco took over, when he became the dictator, Real Madrid weren't shit. They were a small, pathetic club. You know who were the big clubs of Spain? Barcelona, Athletic Club de Bilbao, and Atletico de Madrid. Those were the three powerful clubs. But when Franco becomes a dictator, as any dictator, they always look for a symbol that can unite the people behind the center of power, which was Madrid. And there comes Real Madrid. And all of a sudden, Real Madrid go from being a small, pathetic, shitty club to being the most decorated club in Spain. Was it a coincidence? No, because Franco understood the power of football to unite in uniting people. So he took advantage of that and used Real Madrid as a way to unite the people behind them and to distract them too, because that's what dictators do. Hey, go watch some football while I fucking commit genocide against Catalans or whatever, right? So for Real Madrid to complain about referees when all throughout the history of Spanish football, the La Liga, the Royal Spanish Football Federation, the CTA, has been ran by Madridistas, when the referees, most of them are Madridistas, is the biggest exercise of cynicism. But another exercise of cynicism, of course, Real Madrid TV. Right? Florentino Perez here acting like the victim, talking about influencing refs. But yet every single week, Real Madrid TV makes video after video after video accusing refs of corruption, of being against them. And as a result, La Liga refs are terrified of ruling against Real Madrid. And we've seen it time and time again. Real Madrid being handed penalties that otherwise wouldn't be penalties. Every fucking match, they get a penalty. And yet, he has the balls, the nerve of talking about influencing refs when Real Madrid TV has been doing it for 3 seasons now. Now, Laporta continues. We are strong again, both on and off the field, while they try to distort our image and even dare to erase our history and claim it is as their own. They will not succeed. We are building a glorious era. We will reach the pinnacle of success again, and this will be thanks primarily to you. The truth is, I feel relieved. I really needed to say it. So Joan Laporta ending this with, no matter what they do, we're going to be successful and that we're building another successful era. Now, that's not all, because we also, who joined Joan Laporta in responding to Florentino Perez, of course, the presidential candidate Victor Font, who also had a response to Florentino Perez. And this is what he had to say. I agree 100% with what the president of Barca has said, and I even go much further. The Barcelona fans feel deeply offended when Florentino Perez questions the recent history of FC Barcelona and that of what has been the best team in the history of football. And that this comes from the president of a club that accumulates more suspicions about titles in the entire history of football seems simply regrettable to us. Again, Victor Font firing shots. The only thing I don't agree with him is here when he says the Barcelona fans feel deeply offended. I don't feel offended when Florentino Perez says that thing. I feel saddened. Like, I feel, not even saddened, I feel pity. That's what I feel. I look at like an old, decrepit man who is desperate, who's desperately clinging to power, who's desperate about hiding his failures. That's what I feel. I'm like, look at that poor, pathetic little man. That's what I think. I don't feel offended. I know what Barcelona accomplished, and I know how they accomplished it. I watched every single fucking match during those years. I know that Barcelona did not get refereeing help. They didn't need refereeing help. They were the most powerful team by far. And this is admitted by Real Madrid players. How many players have come out from that era? Toni Kroos, Modric, Marcelo, what's his name? I'm blanking on his name. Ramos. All these players have come out and said that they were chasing ghosts. They could not stop Barcelona. That's how good they were. And you want to tell me that they won those titles, helped the refs? Go fuck yourself. Nobody believes that except idiot Madridistas. But Victor Font here firing shots by saying, and that this comes from the president of the club that accumulates more suspicions about titles in the entire history of football team. That is 100% right. I mean, again, just look at the Franco era. Dozens of trophies pretty much handed to Real Madrid. And you don't even have to go that far in history. That those 3 Champions Leagues that they won back-to-back, all under dubious circumstances. And for them to complain about refereeing, bro, talk about the kettle. Wait, the pot calling the kettle black, right? That's how it goes. Anyways, let's continue because Font says the data indicates it. I don't know how many listeners know that. During the 20th century, 10 presidents of the technical committee of referees had a historic relationship with Real Madrid. They were members and even former players of the club. Pay attention to this. 10 presidents of the CTA. They're crying because one of the vice presidents, not president, one of the vice presidents of the CTA in Herrera, who had an honorary role, who didn't even get paid a salary, who had zero power, was one of his companies, not even him, one of his companies was getting paid by Barcelona for scouting reports. They complain about that, where all throughout the 20th century, they had 10 CTA presidents, not vice presidents, presidents who were former Real Madrid players or club members, and nobody's talking about that. And you want to cry about influence in the competition? Go fuck yourselves. He didn't pay them, but there was a spectacular conflict of interest. You have to talk with data. The last president of the CTA, Jose Plaza, was in the office for 23 years. How many titles did Barca win with him, and how many did Real Madrid win? 13-2. By the way, Jose Plaza, that's the guy I always talk about. He's the one who used to go around in the hallways of the CTA and the Royal Spanish Football Federation saying, as long as I'm the president of the CTA, Barcelona are not going to win anything. This was 90s, early 2000s. Not that long ago. We don't even have to go back to the Franco era. And this guy was in power for 23 years. And nobody talks about that. Why? Now, Victor Font continues. And during the first 5 years of payments to Negreira, how many titles did Barca win? Nothing. But wait, we bribed refs. Well, shit, that's one shitty bribery. Because if for 5 years you spent all that money and you got 0 titles, I think Barcelona should have stopped investing then into the refs. The facts say that the best team in history is being questioned, a team that won on the field and whose recognition is unanimous throughout the world. The payments have nothing to do with a supposed influence on the referees. What is being discussed is whether the payments to the number 2 of the arbitration system for a series of years had some kind of impact or not. But what is really relevant is our indignation with the president of Real Madrid for accusing Barca of winning thanks to the referees. He doubts years of competition in which Barca was clearly superior to Real Madrid because he is unable to recognize that for a long time we were better. Again, I've talked about this time and time again. And unfortunately, this has become something common in our society where, I don't know, people's parents are not teaching them how to deal with loss, with defeat, with ups and downs, because it's always an excuse. It's like, bro, sometimes you just got to take the loss. You got to lick your wounds, learn from it, get up and keep going. But no, people insist on always coming out with, oh, I didn't get fired because I was a shitty employee. No, my manager hated me. I didn't get a bad grade because I didn't study. No. My teacher hates me. Oh, Messi didn't win the Ballon d'Or. No, it's rigged. Argentina didn't win the World Cup. It's rigged. Barcelona didn't win all those titles. It was Negreira. And it's like, stop being a mediocre person and learn how to deal with defeat, because life is not always going to be up. It's going to have ups and downs. And if you don't know how to deal with those downs and your only coping mechanism is to find some kind of bullshit excuse to justify those downs, then you're never going to succeed in life. And that's what we're having. We're having generations and generations of people who don't know how to accept defeat, and instead they go around making excuses, and that's why they are losers, and they're always going to be losers because they're never going to learn from those losses, and instead they're going to continue making excuses. Now, Victor Font continues, and he does it as a smoke screen at a time when his sport project is a failure. The Super League is too, and he has problems with the Santiago Bernabeu after 3 years of silence. So pretty much what I've been saying, it's nothing but a distraction because Florentino Perez is a failure. This presidency of his is a failure. And instead of figuring out why he failed and learning from it and figuring out how to do better, he distracts the Real Madrid crowd by screaming Negrita. And what did this crowd do? They eat it up with a spoon because they're fucking idiots. Now, Victor Font continues, you don't defend the club with words. The president of Barca should stop making grand statements and act. Denounce Real Madrid and Real Madrid TV, which are adulterating the competition. There's an obvious conflict of interest when a delegate of Real Madrid, Mejia Davila, has his wife in the CTA in the relevant position. Defending the club is acting, not just talking. Right now, I would tell you that I would ask the president of Real Madrid for a rectification, and if not, he would break relations. It seems to me unacceptable cynicism to want to damage the reputation of a club like Barca. And this, I want to finish on this because I agree 100% here with Victor Font. I'm glad that Laporta's responding. I'm enjoying all these responses, but it's time for action because what Madrid are doing, what Real Madrid TV are doing, it needs to come to a stop. And it's not going to stop with speeches. It's going to stop with action. Anyways, let's do the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Hansi Flick's contract renewal. Bom, 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 bom. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? I think we left off here. Edward says, hey, Mo, Perez is trying to distract from the new Madrid stadium by talking about Barca. Is the new Madrid stadium really that bad? Why not? Why no underground parking? Why is that? The underground parking was completely blocked because the neighborhood associations around the stadium were complaining about the construction. They were having to close streets, plus noise levels and blah, 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 blah. There were so many complaints and lawsuits filed that eventually just got shut down. So the parking lot is no go. Obviously, they couldn't soundproof it either. So the concerts is a no-go. Not to mention, it was supposed to cost $500 million and ended up costing $1.4 billion. So almost 3 times as much. The pitch is a disaster. The stadium itself is a disaster. Like all this metal, all they did was wrap the stadium with metal. I mean, it's just a shitty situation. And again, that's just the stadium. Not to mention the 1.3 billion euro debt that Madrid have. Their sports project is a mess. I mean, it's just a failure after failure after failure. So of course, Florentino Perez is just trying to distract away from it. Ooh, a sneeze is coming. Hold on. Mamma mia. Okay, let's see. Surprise me. No, surprise more me. Surprise more me. All right. Hey, Mo, I'm watching from South Africa. It's 3:09 a.m., and I've been waiting for the latest update. We also both share the same birthday with Barca. All right. Happy birthday, my friend. I know it's a little bit late, but, not too late. When was our birthday? 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? Happy birthday, my friend, and thank you for staying up to watch the podcast. Let's see. Al-Haji Bieber says, sup, Mo? My name is Al-Haji Bieber Sisse. I'm from Sierra Leone, Freetown. Any updates for the 1-to-1 rule in the VIP seats? No updates yet, but of course, when the updates happen, you will know about it because I'll be here to tell you all about it. B4K Chema says, Mo, please react to William Gomez or Matias Fernandez highlights. Here's the thing. I have thought about reacting to other players, but I prefer, since this is the channel called Barca News and it's mostly about Barcelona, I prefer to react to like players linked to Barca versus just reacting to random players. Now, and this is still something I'm thinking about, not because I don't want to, but because of time constraints. This is not my full-time job. If this was my full-time job, I would be making so much more content. But I am thinking about maybe launching a second channel, one that's not just Barca specific, one that's more general, where we can talk about general football topics, not just Barca topics, right? And kind of like keep this channel just strictly about Barca and do a second channel that's more broad. I don't know. What do you guys think? I like the idea, but again, right now I don't have the time, but I think eventually I will. So I don't know. Tell me, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? Penda says, hey, any update on Araujo? Yes, check out yesterday's video. I have an update about him. And Armando Gomez says, Mo, is Real Madrid debt going to affect them for next season like Barca? And if they are in debt, how did Real Madrid do all the signings this summer? Because the financial fair play is based on how much you spend versus how much you bring in. I don't think either the debt doesn't factor in at all, or if it does, it's like as not as big of a factor as how much you bring in versus how much you spend. And Barcelona have been spending more than they're bringing in. So that's why our financial fair play has been affected. Let's see. David says, Mo, what's up with Gavi? He is set to come back in March. And then Zach Urban says, Barca should sue them for defamation at this point. I mean, Barca needs to do something, right? Speeches are fun, but at some point, you have to do something. Anyways, let's move down. Let's move forward. Let's move on. Can't speak anymore. Let's move on to the next bit of news because, ladies and gentlemen, we do have to talk about Hansi Flick and his contract renewal because the German coach, his agent, Pini Zahavi, and Joan Laporta and Deco all met on Wednesday in a hotel to have an orgy, I'm kidding, to discuss the contract renewal of our coach, Hansi Dieter Flick. Now, Flick was, when he initially signed with Barcelona, had a contract until the summer of 2026. At the end of last season, in May, he extended it by one more year until 2027. And now Barcelona met with Flick and his agent to let him know that they would like to extend it by another year until the summer of 2028, kind of like a show of faith. Like, hey, we like what you're doing. We trust you. We have faith in you. So we want to add another year until 2028. Now, what was Hansi Flick's response? Well, Hansi Flick's response was that he's not ready to commit yet, that he wants to wait until the end of the season. So this was kind of like last season. Last season, Barcelona also approached Flick to extend his contract. And he was like, let me finish the season. I want to focus on the season. I want to see how we do, if we win trophies. If not, I want to see how the players are responding. Because, sometimes, and this happens all the time, you get a coach in a club. They have a great strategy. The team starts winning. But after 4 or 5 years, the players kind of like either get tired of the idea or maybe they stop believing in it or maybe other teams wise up to it or whatever it may be. It kind of stops working. So then, that coach ends up leaving. So Flick kind of wants to wait until the end of the season, see how things go, and then decide. Plus, there's another factor affecting the reason why Flick did not accept the contract renewal during this meeting is that, as we mentioned before, he doesn't want to commit for a very long time. He wants to go season by season because this February, he will be turning 61 years old. And as he's made it very clear before, he doesn't want to be coaching for the next 5, 10, 15 years because, of course, he's getting older and he wants to enjoy his golden years with his grandkids, with his family, and, being a coach, especially of a big team like Barca, it doesn't leave you much time for your family. So Flick was very thankful for the offer, but he has told Barcelona, I want to wait until the end of the season and then make a decision, kind of like what I did last season. Barcelona also approached him early on. I think it was like November, December, to extend his contract. He said, let's wait till the end of the season. And then it wasn't until May that he extended from 2026 to 2027. Now he's going to want to wait until the end of this season to see if he wants to extend until 2028. Now, I, of course, hope that he does, but either way, I respect his decision because, of course, family comes first. All right, let's get back to the comment section, and then we will talk about an English attacker that Barcelona are very close to signing. Yes, you heard that right. Very close to signing. Let's see. Money God says we have to beat them, Real Madrid, next time we play them. Bunch of fucking complainers. I see their clear plan. Here's the thing. In Barcelona, weren't playing so shitty, but we would have won that Clásico easily. And, And I said this before Classico. I was like, if Barcelona win and play well, we can win it easy. If they continue playing like shit like they were, I'm like, then we could lose. And that's what happened, right? I don't think Real Madrid beat us because they were so good or due to merit. It wasn't merit of Real Madrid. It was demerit of Barcelona because Barcelona played like shit. And even though Barcelona played like shit and have been playing like shit, Real Madrid barely beat us 2-1 in their home stadium while begging the ref to blow the whistles toward the end. So if Barcelona just play a little bit better, which we already are, we can easily beat them. And if we play like last season, forget about it. We saw what happened last season. I mean, completely demolished them, destroyed them, humiliated them. 4-0, 5-2, 3-2, 4-3. They should have been 6-3. 2 finals. I mean, we completely embarrassed them. Anyways, David says, Mo, there's a Madrid YouTube channel named Faisal. He did a whole show about the Negrita case. Would you like to see that crap? Probably not. I don't really care for Real Madrid content or for Madridista content. But yeah. Jose Fernandez says, hello, Mo. Just curious. What's up with Dani Rodriguez? I think he's recovered. Yeah, he's back. He's back. He was out for, since the end of last season. And I think he came back last month, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Casablanca says Real Madrid even played a Copa del Rey final against Real Madrid Castilla, winning Champions League with 8 teams competing in total, where they start from semi-finals. Yeah, that's when it was, it wasn't called the Champions League. It was the European Cup. Some of those they didn't even qualify to. They were actually invited. At the time when the Champions League was first launched, it was Madrid was kind of like the launcher of it, kind of like the Super League. At the time, it was the oh my god, what was that cup called? Oh my god, I'm forgetting. There was a different cup that was the important one that the big European clubs played in, which Barcelona won 3 of them, I think. Oh my god, what is it called? I don't know why I'm blanking on the name. And when these Champions League first started, it was a joke cup that nobody cared about. Only the small teams played, and Real Madrid were always invited to it, and they won a bunch of them. So they weren't real Champions League, but they loved to count them. And we won the Champions. No, you didn't. You won like 5 or 6 that were not Champions Leagues in a tournament that nobody took seriously. It's kind of like imagine the Joan Gamper Trophy that Barcelona plays every summer, like every August, like a friendly match. Imagine that trophy takes off and everybody starts playing in it, and in 40 years, it's the biggest tournament in Europe. And then Barca's like, we have 50 of them. And it's like, yeah, but the first 20 however Joan Gamper trophies we have, they were friendly matches and they were bullshit. Like, it's the same thing. Anyways. Let's see. Suleiman says, hello, Mo. How are you doing today? I have a suggestion as regards to other news that is Barca related. Why not take some minutes on Wednesday to talk about such news? What do you think? Like news that's not related to Barca? Like I was saying a few minutes ago, this is a Barca channel, so I'd rather just keep it limited to Barca. But I am considering starting a second channel where it would be more broad topics. Football, of course. Not just Barca. Well, it wouldn't be anything about Barca because this channel is all about Barca. So the other channel will be more broad football, anything else besides Barca. But anyways, let's get back to the news. Because we do have to talk about... Hold on. I want to leave it a surprise. We do have to talk about an English attacker, a teenage prodigy that Barcelona are close to signing. Now, this is not tracking. This is not scouting. This is not thinking about it. No, this is actual interest and actual action to sign this guy. Because there's stages, right, to this. There's first just scouting, where you go and watch different players and see which one could fit the profile. Once you've determined, then there is tracking, where you're like, all right, I like this guy, but let me see how he does over a long span of time. Because you can't scout a player just for one match. You have to watch them for months to see how they do throughout the season against different opponents, in different tournaments, as exhaustion starts to set in. etc., etc. So there is interest, scouting, then there's tracking, and then there's actual, I want to sign this guy. And then finally, there's actual action where, okay, I've scouted him and I liked him. I tracked him for months. I still liked him. I decided that I want to sign him. And now I'm actually acting upon it, upon this interest. And that's where we are with this guy. Barcelona are actually making moves to sign him. Now, this is part of Deco's plan to try to sign young up-and-coming players before their price blows up. Of course, we talked about the Egyptian Hamza Abdel Karim, center forward from Al Ahly, where Barcelona are working to sign during this winter transfer market, which is exactly when he turns 18, to reinforce the Barca Athletic. They're talking about a loan with an option to buy in the summer, maybe an obligation. Hasn't been finalized yet. And now, another attacker, this one, English, and his name is AJ Tavares. Now, if you haven't heard of AJ Tavares, he's a 15-year-old left winger, currently plays at Norwich City. He will become 16 this month. On December 28th, he will turn 16, which means you can sign him professionally, right? When you're under 16, you can't sign any professional contracts, but he will be 16 in December 28th. And he's someone who's described as a physical winger who is a dribbler, who could use both legs, and he has a good knack for scoring goals. Okay. Also, his height and power have meant that he has also played as a center forward. And in fact, he's already broken into England's under 17. So someone really up and coming in the English football market. And Barcelona are very close to finalizing this signing. Now, this will not be a first team signing, of course. He's 15 years old. Well, he will be 16 in a few days, in a few weeks. No, a week and a half. But since he's been playing against players who are 2-3 years older than him, this could easily be a Barca Athletic signing. Because usually when you're 15, you might sign for the Juvenil A, maybe Juvenil B. But he has already been, again, he's been playing with the England under 17. So he's playing against guys who are 2-3 years older than him. So he could easily become a Barca Athletic signing. And if he ends up proving himself, who knows? Maybe one day he could be promoted to the first team. But AJ Tavares, let me know if you know this guy, who this guy is. Let me know if you've watched him play. And if you have, let me know if you're excited about this signing for Barcelona. And with that, let's do a few more comments and then we'll end the podcast. Interesting news today, by the way. I don't think I will be doing any other videos. I might do another reaction video after this, but let's see what everyone is saying. Let's see. Where do we leave off? RB says, Prime Barca with Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta played the best football I've ever seen. No case changes that for me. The Negreira situation, in my opinion, is being used to discredit a legendary era. 100%. I mean, here's the thing. Here's the crazy thing. That they're trying to use Negreira to discredit an era of Barcelona that's honestly, it's indescribable. That's not a word. I'm pretty sure it's not a word. I mean, look, if they try to use a Negreira era to discredit, I don't know, maybe Valverde's winnings or even now, Flick's winnings, right? Like, I still think Barcelona last season was one of the best in Europe. That's one thing. But to try to discredit that era is impossible because anybody who watched that Barca would tell you that Barca was the best team in the world and by far, not even close, by far. Like now, like last season where Barcelona were absolutely killing it, we still had other teams who were close to us, like PSG, for example. But at that time, that Barca, nobody was even close to them. So to try to discredit that is kind of like trying to discredit, I don't know, Michael Phelps. Trying to say that referees helped Phelps. It's like, bro, he was dominating everybody. That guy was a fucking dolphin. Try to discredit Simone Biles. Like, that girl was levels ahead of all the gymnasts from anywhere in the world. Try to discredit, I don't freaking know, Michael Jordan with the Bulls. Like, it's just, you can't. You can't. That was the best team in the world. Talk about Xavi, Iniesta, Busquets, Messi, Piqué, Puyol. I mean, the greatest football team in the history. You cannot discredit that. Even if they prove and they come up with videos of like uh, Barcelona presidents dropping off bags of cash to refs, here you go. You still cannot discredit it because that team was the best team in the history, period. And they know that. That's why they keep coming up with this all kinds of bullshit because they know that. And guess what? Nothing's going to change that. So just keep crying and leave us alone. So my man says, Faisal is Timu version of Florentino. It's better not to waste your time watching that clown. I don't know who he is. I've heard his name before from you guys in the comment section, but I've never seen any content of him. But anyways, Leo Ford says, another thing I want to point your attention to regarding the Negrita case. There's an article about technical report that club said they paid for. Pep, Valverde, Enrique have all denied. Not that denied, they said that they didn't see them, they didn't request them. So these reports were being made. They were ordered by the sporting department, their scouting reports, and then those scouting reports were being delivered to the sporting department. So if the coaches wanted to see them, they were there available for them. But if they didn't want to see them, that's fine. Same with scouting with player scouting reports, by the way. The sporting department sends scouts, have scouts working all around the globe. They have scouts in South America, in Asia, in Africa, in Europe. And these scouts are constantly making reports about players, all kinds of players, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 12-year-olds, in all different positions, from all different teams, from all different countries and all different continents. And they're making these reports and they're sending them back to the sporting department, and they get analyzed by the sporting department by Deco. But you think Flick has read every single scouting report that these scouts have made? Of course not. Of course not. If he becomes interested in a player, he can say, hey, can I get the reports for this player? And he can read them. But there's reports about hundreds of players. You think Flick has seen any of them? No. Does that mean, they don't exist? Also, no. He just hasn't seen them. And Valverde said this during his testimony. He's like, I never saw them, but at Athletic Club Bilbao, I also know they have reports about the refs, and I've also haven't seen them. Doesn't mean they don't exist. No, they're there. He just never requested them. Casablanca says Fabregas is doing great with Cuomo. After Hansi, we should get him or bring Luis Enrique back. He already said he wants to come back someday. Yeah. And I talked about this in a video a few weeks ago. They're saying his circle are saying that Fabregas, he's kind of outgrowing Como, and he says that his next team he would like it to be either Barca or Man City. So that'd be interesting. Zayden says, being able to join the live is the only reason I like night shift. Love your personality, bro. My friend always saying, oh, Mo, Africans when I'm watching your videos and not even a cole. Well, thank you, my friend. Night shifting what? Where do you work, if you don't mind sharing with us? And Edward says, Mo, do you know what Brexit did to the under-18 rule for bringing over under-18 players? Yes. Good question. So as far as I know, Brexit, what Brexit did, that's a good question, by the way, is that now England, it's kind of like if you were signing a player from South America or Africa or Asia. They have to be 18 years old to come over. But AJ Tavares has a European passport, and that's why we can sign him when he's 16. I can't remember where his other passport is from, but I do know that he has another passport, and that's why we would be able to sign him at 16 years old. I think I'm right about that. If I'm not, let me know. And Barca Mama says, Mocast tomorrow. Of course. Tomorrow, Saturday. And let's see. Let's do one last one. But Saeed El Hadouti says, is Arteta a good option to replace Flick? Yeah, I think so. I think he's doing a good job with Arsenal. The question is, does he want to come back? And I think they said yes. I think I read somewhere that Arteta would be interested in coming back to Spain. So it is an option. Barcelona says, what time? 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Don't worry. Tonight I will create the actual live, with the thumbnail and everything, with the time so you can see it. I know yesterday I did it too late, so a lot of people didn't join. I'll do it tonight before going to bed. I'll create it. And that way everybody is aware. All the channel members are aware on when the Mocast will be. If you guys, oh, there we go. The Rebel says he has a Portuguese passport. Okay, there you go. That's how we can sign. What's his name? AJ Tavares is using his Portuguese passport. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscriptions, and your donations. Oh, wait, real quick. Zayed says it's pronounced Aware. Okay, Aware. I didn't know that. I'm a machine operator at Sovereign Foods. We manufacture poultry products. Oh, okay. Send me a chicken, man. Come on. I love chicken. I'm kidding. That is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. No more news for tonight. Maybe I'll do a reaction video later tonight. But if I do, I'll see you on that. If not, I will see you guys tomorrow. But thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. And as always, peace, guys.